The Drakari were a warrior race, towering and broad-shouldered, with skin like stone and claws sharp enough to carve through steel. Among them, Ka'reth Veyra was a legend and a curse. She was enormous, even by Drakari standards, asterisk, 10 feet tall, asterisk, with muscles coiled like living cables beneath crimson-scaled skin. A long tail tipped with an armored spike swept behind her as she moved. Her horns curved like a ram's, black as volcanic glass. When she walked into a hall, lesser warriors fell silent. It wasn't only her size. It was the stories. The time she tore apart a glyph war beast with her bare hands. The duel where she sent an arrogant Drakari warlord to healers for 6 months. The countless raids where she returned alone, drenched in enemy blood, carrying victory on her shoulders like a trophy. Every Drakari male admired her strength. None dared approach her. They whispered behind her back, asterisk, too massive, too fierce. No male could stand beside her without feeling small, asterisk. So Ka'reth Veyra walked alone. The human outpost on Klythar IV was new, a cluster of metal domes bristling with calm towers on the edge of Drakari territory. Ka'reth had come here on a simple diplomatic mission: deliver the High Council's demands to the Terran colonists and leave. She expected cowards in flimsy armor, soft little creatures hiding behind energy shields. What she found instead was a man leaning against a landing platform railing, grinning at her like she wasn't 3 times the size. He didn't reach for a weapon, didn't flinch when her shadow fell across him. He just smiled. "Welcome to Klythar IV," he said casually, like she was a tourist instead of a living war machine. "Name's Captain Darius Kane. You're a bit taller than the last diplomat we had." Ka'reth blinked. No Drakari male had ever spoken to her so lightly. Most tripped over themselves to stay respectful or silent. "You're not afraid?" she asked, voice like grinding stone. He shrugged. "Should I be?" She let her tail slam into the landing pad's metal floor, leaving a crater. Darius didn't move. He just kept smiling, eyes glinting with something between curiosity and amusement. For reasons she couldn't name, Ka'reth found herself intrigued. The negotiations didn't last long. Drakari High Command wanted the humans gone. The humans wanted to stay. Harsh words were exchanged, but neither side fired the first shot. At least, not until the Ravagers arrived. They came screaming from the clouds, an insectoid swarm of raiders that devoured cities for fuel and dragged prisoners off-world for their queen. Dozens of spiked ships pierced the atmosphere like burning meteors. Energy blasts turned forests to ash. The Drakari soldiers panicked. The humans scrambled for weapons. Ka'reth didn't hesitate. She grabbed a fallen plasma cannon in both hands, one meant to be crewed by 2 Drakari, and began firing into the sky. Each shot vaporized a Ravager ship in a blossom of blue fire. When the cannon overheated, she hurled it aside and leapt onto the nearest Ravager war beast as it landed, tearing its armored carapace open with her claws. But there were too many. The swarm darkened the sky, blotting out the twin suns. Darius appeared at her side, holding a human rifle far too small to matter against the chaos above. "Any chance you've got a plan?" he shouted over the noise. Ka'reth snarled, tail lashing. "Kill everything that is not us." He grinned again, the same reckless grin as before, and said, "Works for me." They fought like a 2-person army. Ka'reth smashed through Ravager beasts with her bare hands, every movement brutal and efficient. Darius stayed in her shadow, picking off anything that got too close with perfect aim, covering her blind spots as though he'd been fighting beside her for years. When a Ravager warlord twice Ka'reth's size crashed down from above, Darius didn't run. He tossed a grenade into its open jaws while Ka'reth held him apart with brute strength. The explosion painted both of them an alien ichor. For the first time in years, Ka'reth felt not alone. Hours later, the surviving Ravagers fled to the upper atmosphere, leaving burning wreckage across the plains. Ka'reth stood amid the smoking battlefield, breathing hard, crimson scales streaked with black blood. Around her, Drakari soldiers stared in awe. Humans, too, but it wasn't their gazes she felt. It was his. The human captain standing at her side, rifle slung across his back, as though this had all been a casual afternoon stroll. "You fight well," she admitted grudgingly. He shot her that same crooked smile. "You're not so bad yourself, Red." No one had ever given her a nickname before. That night, as soldiers from both species repaired equipment and burned the dead, Ka'reth sat apart from the campfires, cleaning her claws. Darius approached, carrying 2 canteens. He offered one without hesitation. She took it carefully. Among Drakari, sharing water after battle was intimate, a sign of respect. Sometimes more. "You didn't fear me," she said after a long silence. "Why?" Darius shrugged. "Fear's not really my thing." Then, after a pause, "Besides, you looked like you needed someone who wasn't going to run away the second you smiled back." Ka'reth stared at him. No Drakari male had ever spoken so plainly. "You are strange human." "Yeah," he said with a grin. "I get that a lot." When the Drakari High Command finally sent ships to secure the region, rumors were already spreading about the giant warrior female who tore through a Ravager swarm, about the human captain who stood beside her like it was nothing. Some said they fought like lovers. Others said they barely spoke. But one thing became clear. The Drakari soldiers who once whispered that no male dare approach Ka'reth Veyra stopped whispering, because they'd all seen the human smile at her, and they'd seen her smile back. The war against the Ravagers would rage for years. Battles would be fought on a dozen worlds. But again and again, reports came in. A crimson-scaled giantess and a reckless human captain fighting together, saving each other's lives, winning when no one else could, until eventually soldiers, Drakari and human alike, gave them a name, the Unbreakable too, and Ka'reth Veyra, once feared and avoided by her own people, found herself standing where she never expected to be. Not alone, never alone again.